What's up, guys? Welcome back to this week's episode of The Nest. We're on week 10, 6, 7, maybe
12?
9, 12. 12 sounds good.
Something like
On
that.
week 12 of The Nest, we got a few pretty awesome things to talk about today. Some new contracts announcements, some people will still question about the All-Star event, the most recent A-tier that happened over the weekend. So it's going to be a pretty good episode, I think.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
jumping right into it, the first thing we got is Chris Dickerson, no longer decked out in the Prodigy gear. He has signed a 4-year deal with Discraft, which is supposed to be, there's no confirmed numbers, but valued at 7 figures, which is $1 million, obviously. So, what do you know about that, Mike?
Um, it's interesting. The only person that said seven figures was just Chris and his. It was either an interview or it was his promo video. I don't recall where it was, but it's not something that Discraft was trying to push being said or anyone like that. So it's curious, meaning like guaranteed money. Does that include travel and expenses? Does that include projections on sales of discs? We don't really know. But it doesn't really matter. It sounds like he has a new van that he will be touring with, which he also says he's going to be doing more touring. There was talk, I don't know if this was about Chris or about Matty O, but I remember there was kind of this drama that Prodigy wasn't helping with expenses for travel for them or some of them. Don't know if it's true or not, but it sounds like Chris is going to get the full treatment and be able to go basically to everything he wants to go to, which is pretty exciting. Um, and he's gonna
And
get he gets the buzz too as well. That's gonna be his tour series disc, which is, walking into a new company and you get the buzz.
the probably the best disc
Yeah,
on
that's.
Discraft's line.
I mean, you could put Dan's face on the buzz and it'd sell out. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, no, pretty cool stuff for him. And no surprise, Discraft did an awesome intro and hyped it up and did a giveaway with it, and everyone's excited about it. So, I think it's a good place for him. I'm sad to see him leave Prodigy, obviously, as I'm a Prodigy fanboy, admittedly. But if there's anywhere else I'd like to see him go, I don't mind this, and I think it's going to be a good place for him, especially with the media side of things. I think the two companies that are really doing a good job with media are obviously the Trilogy Dynamic Discs, and then Discraft is doing a pretty good job as well. Um, Discraft has a mix of people who kind of do their own thing, I think of like an Ezra, who kind of like his social media is kind of self grown, and then even Paul. Like I know Paul's worked hard with this media, but like Discraft really pushed him or helped him. It
Yeah.
seems like so all sides of it. Discraft is a good place for these players who need help with social media, which Chris does. Yeah, I think it's a good spot for him, money aside. So
Yeah, and I know his wife, who was last year doing photography for,
mm,
I don't know if it was she was employed by the Pro Tour or this was something she kind of did and she was getting paid somehow. I'm not sure if it was from the Pro Tour or by manufacturer, by player, how it worked.
right.
But she basically has stepped back from that, and it seems like she's kind of just going to be a manager for Chris, which is something that we've seen pretty popular with a lot of players, significant others, just helping them out on tour. If they're not playing themselves and they're going to travel, they might as well help out. And a lot of them are competent enough to be able to fill that role in that position. So she seems pretty hands on deck. I
Yep.
watched Smashbox podcast, and she said she's been just doing meetings for Chris while Chris is out playing because he got to learn new discs and practice obviously for the upcoming tour. So she's just been doing the meetings for him and talking on his behalf, which is I think it's good for the sport if you can have somebody that can do that for you. Um, and then you mentioned a van, or I think it's a full trailer actually.
Mm.
He gets a full trailer, and then they're gonna haul a truck behind it. Yeah, Tacoma or something along those lines. But I think for any player going from either, because I know Chris has been very open about like having a little bit of anxiety of travel by plane, but going from something like that, a situation like that, to having your own RV and trailer and being that comfortable is just like it really makes players better on tour.
Mm-hmm.
Like even as extreme as Ezra's case, where he went from sleeping in a Prius to RV, like players are just that much more comfortable. Practice is so much more efficient, and I think it's super awesome for a guy like Chris. And I think he's gonna flourish. He might not be in the old plaid apparel that he used to be in. He also isn't signed back with VII. Is that what?
VII. Yeah.
Yeah, they were under a different name a while ago, but he's no longer with them. So they hinted a new like clothing line company. So something is in the works for them. I guess we'll see in the future as we see a lot with disc golf and announcements and stuff like that. So
Yeah. I saw him already. I don't know what video it was, but he had a camo Discraft like golf shirt on. So
yeah, Team Discraft.
yeah. So yeah, I think it'll be a good spot for him, and it's always fun watching top players transition. And I don't think, I mean, I can't really think of a situation anymore with if you stay at a major company that. I mean, he's going to be fine. Nothing in his bag was probably irreplaceable, and if he leaves Discraft, there'll be nothing irreplaceable. Like all these companies have something that'll work for these top players, so it's just more of an image thing at this point, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And so for the next signing, we're getting or going down the list on some of the players that we had questions about. But Hayley King signed with Innova. I think it's 2 years.
It's either one or two.
One
Someone
or
said it was
two.
one.
Yeah, it's not very long. Kind of, yeah. It's kind of a questionable move, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But yeah, there was a kind of a lackluster announcement on Hayley's or YouTube page, and that was it. Innova didn't really announce anything right away, and they did in a day or two later. But just kind of weird and lackluster for a player of Hayley's caliber, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's not surprising from Innova's side. I mean, they show that they do this, and that media is not a priority to them in any way at all. She made it so the video from everything I can tell, Hayley made the video.
Or yeah, someone with Hayley made it.
Yeah, and people were like kind of bashing it, not it, but more Innova not doing something, and people were commenting, Dunapace was in the video, what more do you want? And I was like, well, a professional video would be nice, obviously. But this isn't surprising for Innova's side. With Hayley, I mean, she made a comment in the video that she was excited to have the pressure off. Which is interesting. And it almost seems like she must mean from her manufacturer, because truthfully I feel like this puts more pressure on her from like a fan perspective to be at Innova. She'd made a comment before, she doesn't want to be known as the next Paige Pierce, she wants to be known as Hayley King, so she says stuff like that, but then she also doesn't really want to do social media stuff. If she wants to go somewhere where she doesn't have to do any social media, she went to the right place. It makes you wonder, as much as we just said that Discraft helps with socials, it makes you wonder if they have some requirements on social media as well. Like you're required to do certain things, which would make sense. And she made a comment that she wants to focus on disc golf, and if she's okay with not having a social media presence, then she's in a fine place. But I hope she's not expecting any help from Innova, because she's not going to get it. As far as play wise, again, it's not going to hurt. This is one person that maybe it would help, and the reason I say that is she is so young. She doesn't have as much experience as not necessarily experience, but I guess the point is like she grew up throwing Innova, like that's what she started on. So even from like a mental perspective, it's always nice to go back to what you know. And if she never was like in love with the Discraft discs, and she was always just, oh, I wish I had my T-Bird, oh, I wish I had my, then she's gonna get to have those again. It's just the whole situation just kind of strange. Her dropping all her sponsors, the Tour Series disc coming out with her name on it 2 weeks before she leaves, like websites and companies getting the Tour Series disc after she already left Innova, like or Discraft rather. There's just a lot of things that don't really make sense with this, and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe she got a lot of
Yeah,
money. It's hard to say.
it seems a little weird to say that maybe she got a lot of money just because from the past it seems like Innova players haven't been paid well, and
Yeah.
maybe there was some free cap space and she got paid more than she was at Discraft, and that's the hope, I guess. But I think you made a few good points. One of them being, I feel like anyone going to Innova, it's like a homecoming for them, just because pretty much every player starts, or especially anyone who started, in the past 5 years plus, you probably started with Innova discs.
I'd be surprised if more than a handful of current touring pros didn't start with Innova.
For sure,
Like
especially
just
touring pros.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
I
their
mean,
age, that
yeah,
age
their
group.
age, and I mean, yeah, even me, I'm 19 and started playing 2 years ago. I had a few Discraft discs, but majority were Innova. So that's what I started with, and I'm sure most people that's the same way. So if you started with that, it kind of feels like a homecoming, and probably some of the stuff you're comfortable or want to revisit. So there's that. But I know you mentioned something about Discraft possibly requiring social media, and I just wanted to. I know on the Smashbox podcast, Terry asked the Dickersons, is there any social media requirements on your end? And Chris and I forget his wife's name. I can't remember. But they said no. There's no social media requirements on our end. We want to build his brand, so we're going to do it. But nowhere in the contract, there's no contract obligations to do so. So maybe Hayley King's in a different position. But
Right.
one thing that I really get stuck on is Kona Panis just signed a DD for a million or $500,000 deal, and Hayley is probably just at disc golf wise better at disc golf
Yeah.
than Kona. And you can argue marketability, but marketability is something that can kind of be taught to an extent, or like aided. Like a company can help
Aided
you
is a good word, yeah.
and foster you into someone that is marketable. And to an extent, some people are a little bit more personable and outgoing than others, so there's that. But even a James Conrad, like MVP, has helped him just even a little bit, and he's helping himself a little bit. Very marketable player. So if you're in Hayley King's position, like you're looking at what Kona just got signed to, if you just post a few social media posts a month and get in front of the camera, like you can be getting paid. And
Yeah.
I think that's something as a player you should probably pursue. And as a company, someone like Innova is going to have to notice that at some point. And I think it would be very helpful, in my opinion, to start doing that with some of their players. I mean, Calvin Heimberg just started being active on Instagram as of 3 days ago.
Right.
So,
well, Calvin's a smart guy. I think he's kind of one realizing that he needs to do things like this,
yeah,
and two, the first thing I think of is he's trying to get his social media up a little bit, so when he leaves Innova next year,
Innova, you can get
he
paid.
has some selling power. Like, hey, but that's because that's just what I think of. But yeah, it just brings up the argument of what's more important, how good you are, or how many discs you sell, and there is a line that crosses, right? So, like, you could be the most unpersonable person ever, but if you're really, really, really good at disc golf, you're still going to sell discs, i.e. Paul prior to the last year or two. I mean, he never really did anything on social media.
Yeah.
Who do I think would sell more discs in, like, an exact controlled environment between Hayley and Kona? I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's close.
Yeah, it probably would be pretty close and for very different reasons. But as to your point, if you just helped Hayley a little bit with socials and she has the game to fit, she'd be selling a lot of discs probably. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just so interesting to see the huge opposites and like strategies of companies, and you got to think eventually Innova's going to have to come around to the whole social side of things, but they might look at their bank statements and think differently. It's hard to say.
And I'm sure their bank statements are looking good. Let's be honest. But
The only problem with like that idea, and like you said, like you've only been playing a couple years and you had a lot of Innova, but think about how many people joined the sport in the last couple years, and I know some of those people, and they throw all Discraft or they throw all DD. And to me, it's like crazy seeing a brand new player like showing me their felons, and because I'm like, wow, you don't have a Firebird and a
Firebird.
Destroyer. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's just like the first steps of disc golf in my eyes. But that's not the reality anymore, especially with this team that Discraft's putting together. Any new eyes to the sport, they're going to be looking at those people most likely. So. And brand new people to the sport don't care what was popular 10 years ago.
They not at all. No one, like, when people joining the sport, they don't know about Paul's legacy with Innova. They just don't. They don't know about Ken Climo. They don't know those things. So they absorb what the first things they see are, and we know what those are. Ricky to DD, Paul to Discraft. So I think social media is ever more important, especially with the surging of players, new incoming players that are absorbing at not just a casual level anymore. Like, these people are in the sport and watch it, absorb it, interact with it. So, and two other players that are still left without a manufacturer, and to my knowledge, there hasn't even been any sneak peeks like, oh, there's going to be an announcement in the coming days. And that's Kat and Nico. I know Nico posted a video on Instagram a few days ago, day or two ago, just of him throwing a shot, and he posted in the caption like, "Oh, what disc am I throwing?" ? But that's as far as we've gotten with either of those two, and I guess I have no clue where they could be going or whether it'd be a good fit, and maybe Mike has something that
Nico, I had no idea. Gateway.
He's been everywhere.
Like,
he's been everywhere. Yeah. He could just throw on a jersey at this point,
truthfully, man. If you made me guess, I'd say Gateway, because I don't know else who he would even go to at this point anymore. Prodigy, maybe back to. The thing is, whoever he goes to, it's a reunion, because I think he's been with every
it's a homecoming.
Is there a major manufacturer? Has he been with Discraft?
I don't think so.
If he did, it was before I knew what was going on. But
he
was with Prodigy. So. We watched his Prodigy in the bag together.
Yeah.
He was with Innova. He was with Trilogy twice, I think.
Yeah, he's been with Gateway.
Yeah, he has a relative who owns Gateway. I don't know. Maybe his own company. Maybe Drew's company. Maybe he's just gonna do his Supreme Flight or whatever, and stamp disc like the old school DD. Back when DD just stamped stuff. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I want him to be the first unattached. Well, he probably would be the first unattached world champion, but the first in a while. No sponsor. He doesn't need one. Just live off that tour money, baby.
Oh, right. I don't know. I truly don't have a problem with Nico. I know a lot of people do. I think it's fun to watch. I'll be honest.
Yeah, the issue is there's a lot of people who don't like him.
Yeah.
So whoever, like, as sad and as silly as it is, there'll be this subset of people that whoever he signs with, they probably won't buy discs from that company anymore, which is silly. But that's the reality of it. And so there's companies that are probably thinking that. I do know I don't know this from a personal standpoint, but word gets around that there's been times he's been a little bit difficult to deal with for companies, especially in his younger years. I don't know if that's changed or not, but I mean, he had a good thing. Like, for me, like, he had a good thing going at Westside, it seemed. Like, for him to just, I don't know. He's one of those guys who changes stuff a lot. So I don't know if it was something from his end, like the whole everything's better until you have it kind of thing. And then he gets there and he's like, or maybe he just, companies don't want to deal with him. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe Nike's sponsoring him or something.
No, that would be bold. And then the other player is Kat, and we talked a little bit before this prior, and we've kind of been messaging each other about it, but again, we don't really know. No one seems to know. I mean,
there's whispers. So there were whispers of DGA, which I don't know how that would make any sense. I'm sorry. If Kat goes to DGA, she must be the female Nico, because nobody wants her.
It could be.
I mean, why would you, like, why? Unless they're, like, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I mean, I can't imagine no one would. I mean, even Innova, that sounds just right. She doesn't post on social media. Innova says, come on. Innova, at that point, if they signed Kat, they'd have the second, third, fourth, fifth best female in the world.
Well, I'd say first, because if they come over, Paige isn't number one anymore, in my opinion. But that's a different conversation. She's
They
probably
are
not.
coming.
She's not
They are
second
coming.
or third in my. But that's a different conversation. We'll talk about that a lot this year when they come over, I'm sure. But yeah, sounds like Cat would fit right in social media side with Innova. So the latest, I was gonna say DGA, but that I think someone just was being funny and said that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have more recently, from someone who has gotten a few things right, lately ahead of time, said that it's between Infinite and Innova. I have heard that. I don't know if they're just using their common sense or if they've actually heard things, but that is a more recent rumor. That being said, I mean, she's supposed to be at the All-Star thing, and that's coming up.
Yeah, like
Um,
she has to be signed now if she's not.
the,
Like,
the thing is I don't know if you saw it, and I don't know if Drew even has it up anymore, but Drew Gibson posted a tweet that said, "You'll never guess where Katrina Allen's going. She works harder than anybody and deserves
yeah,
this big
yep.
contract or whatever."
Hmm.
That was a while ago. You would have thought she would have announced it by now. So
Yeah, I
maybe
don't
she's
know.
with Gibson Industries or whatever his new company is. Finish Line Discs. That looks
She
like
just,
a. Have you seen the logo for Finish Line Discs?
yeah, I have. Who's made
Um,
by T-Box, I think. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. We're getting to
I
the
mean, I
point
could,
where like it seems like neither of them have a sponsor if they're not saying anything. I
I
just don't.
guess. Well, we say that, but like this is around the time Ezra announced last year, like almost to the day, I think.
Yeah, that's true. We also thought that was weird too.
You're right.
Also,
You're right.
and this could be the same reason. The reason Ezra didn't, from what I understand, the reason Ezra didn't announce sooner is they wanted to make that video and he like couldn't get there until then for whatever
Oh,
reason.
that could be. Yeah, I don't
So, because
know.
they had the factory video, if you remember, like signing the
Right, with
contract
him
and
like
stuff.
coming. Yeah, so I really hope it's not that people just don't want her because I mean she just did win worlds this past year, so
Yeah.
you have to really be doing something wrong if you can't get like if
Well,
companies don't want you.
and that would make even less sense in the whole picture of things because from what it seems like, she willingly left Prodigy. Like she made that decision.
Yeah, it seemed like she just up and
So
left.
unless she just left no thinking she'd get something that she wants and then didn't, but again, I don't. She's got to be with somebody.
Yeah,
Um,
I would have to
yeah,
assume.
Innova would be interesting. Infinite. I mean, we don't even know if that model works yet for pros. I guess we'd
Yeah,
have to
for the
see.
top level, we don't know yet.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the drama's not over yet. I mean, we still got a couple more people to bounce around, and
Hmm.
it'll be interesting to see. They're running out of time to tell us, so.
Yeah,
I saw
and
someone posted that she's gonna have a jacket on and just walk up to the first tee and take the jacket
on
off,
the All Stars
and
event.
that's her announcement. So
Heck, if I mean, if she's one of the people that stay and play, because our next topic is there's a lot of people not coming, have already announced they're not coming, and there's been rumors of and whispers. Not even it doesn't even appear like whispers anymore. Like people are just flat out saying I might not be coming.
yeah, they're not hiding it.
Yeah,
Paul
Paul.
for sure isn't going. He confirmed
Yep.
it.
I know Rick tweeted something along the lines of might not go to the All Star event. Because I have discs to learn, and I'd rather be ready for Vegas than
Yeah, he's got to
the
learn
All
how
Star
he's
event.
got to learn how to putt with those new daggers.
Oh God,
Not
people
used to
better
them.
watch out! Oh my goodness. But yeah, and I'm sure it's not just gonna be Rick and Paul. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of players. Um, there's a lot of things that go into it. It doesn't appear that there's much incentive to be there as a player in terms of money or even marketability. I just last year it wasn't enjoyable to watch last year in my opinion.
I
And
think
unless go
no,
ahead.
sorry. I was just gonna say for like Kona, I think it helped. You know,
Why? Because she threw in and with
nah,
her one clip of the year in that video.
I mean, she won 2 events last year, didn't she? Yeah, she won 2 pro tours.
She won
They
Waco.
counted that one. They counted that as a pro tour win in the
Did she win?
yeah, she won All Star.
Oh,
Yeah. So it shows how much you paid attention. Um,
yeah.
I cut your thought off, but um, this isn't even really a topic to me. Look at every other sport. Um, half the All Star induct award winners don't even go. Most sports, it's towards the middle or end of the year. Like either it's like basketball, which is in the middle of the year. Or, actually, basketball, most of them do play, don't they?
Yeah, because
Um,
it's in the middle. It's like in the
yeah.
middle of the year.
But like for NFL, it's the weekend before the Super
Well,
Bowl.
yeah, everyone goes except the Super Bowl team.
No.
Yeah, yeah, pretty
There's
close.
quite a
Pretty
few that don't.
close.
In football, there's a lot that don't. There's a
Okay,
lot
but
that
you also
don't.
have to understand the pool in which the NFL chooses from for the Pro Bowl in comparison to the top 20 disc
Yeah, but
golfers.
my point is, it's there's a lot of players who just don't show up to this stuff. I don't. Beginning of the year doesn't make any sense. Um, Golf doesn't have an all-star event. It just doesn't really make sense. It's an individual sport. Like
Golf just doesn't. Golf's just not learning. They're not evolving enough. Maybe they should have an all-star event.
individual sports should have all-star events because every
Bad
event is an all.
take.
It's an every event
Bad
is an all-star
take.
event. Every event
I
has the
don't. I
best
don't
players.
agree with that.
What's
I'm
the
just saying
what's the point of an all-star event?
to showcase the players.
What's the point of the all-star event in the NBA and the NFL? What's the point of that?
To make money and show off the players.
But from a player's perspective, why would you go?
They get paid.
Okay, but it's a team sport. So you're getting to put these stud teams together that would never normally play together. And it's fun to see two guys who play against each other play on the same team. That's why people watch that stuff.
I don't think that's a good argument because they go out there and play like clowns.
Not last year. They tried hard last year.
Okay,
And in baseball, it matters. In
the
baseball, it determines.
All-Star break is a little different because I think they do try and they really try and form the super team and they within limits because they don't want to get injured during the All-Star break, but they do really try, so it is different. But the Pro Bowl is a joke. Just saying.
Does anyone watch the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, maybe. Enough that the NFL keeps doing it.
I don't know.
My point is
probably a tax write-off.
My point is the All-Star event I think could be really good.
I don't.
But if you do some stupid loop at Fountain Hills, 2 loops and 9 holes, and have the girls and guys playing at the same time and do something as bad as you did last year, it is absolutely worthless.
I think last year was perfect. Because it was so stupid, people wanted to see how bad it was going to be. It's the only way you're going to get somebody to watch this. You can't make... What do you make? You're going to make a super card for the All-Star? That happens every week. Every week it's the same 4 people on the lead card. We're seeing all these people play together all the time. There's no point. Why are you having them play a tournament? They play
Well, I'm saying, maybe it shouldn't just be a tournament setting. I think the...
Well, they are doing skill events this year.
Yeah, skill events.
But no...
I don't know. I don't know.
If they do a long distance thing, half of them aren't going to do it. Like, it just doesn't... They're forcing it, man. Just, like, do a charity event or something fun like that.
Maybe a charity event.
Like, put that in the beginning of the year. Like, if they... Like, the one that they did in the middle of the year, just randomly in between tournaments, they throw that at the beginning of the year, Paul's not going to skip that. It would look bad. Like, if you call it a charity event, you're going to guilt all these players into coming. Like...
It may be true.
You know? An all-star event for this just doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
I think it could if it was done right, but let's agree that it isn't done right currently. So we'll just leave that with as it is, and we understand why players aren't coming and will continue to not come. So for the players that are, I hope it's great.
Well, and I will say, if you're a top 5, 10 player, this makes no sense to go to, but if you're on the edge or you don't get a lot of media coverage, like if they start calling in the lower people, I think it makes sense to go. Like, because you actually...
Yeah, but they're not... I don't think they're going to get outside of the top 10.
Yeah,
there's
the women...
There's only 8 people that go.
But like for the women...
Women are a little different.
Because they only usually have 1 card of coverage, sometimes 2. Like now, all of a sudden, if you're 10th in the world, you know... I mean, even like Kona, prior to the All-Star event last year, hadn't been on a ton of coverage. And then she wins the All-Star event, and she's Dan's favorite player. So, like, just the best putter in the world. I like Kona a lot. I shouldn't.
You're clowning.
She's a better putter than I am, so I can't say anything. That'd be a pretty good contest.
It's close. And moving on.
What are we doing? What are we talking about?
Moving on from that. along with Paul not going to the All-Star event, there was also some talk, and I know we talked about it last podcast, about Paul leaving Foundation and why that, what does that mean? And me and Mike were kind of on the side of there must be something that we're not knowing, because it doesn't make sense for Paul to leave. Like, there might be some bad blood. Maybe he doesn't like how Paul or Hunter and Brody are doing things, but that didn't seem feasible. We just didn't know, but we were on the side of doubt. But Paul was asked about it on Smashbox, and he basically just said, and I think this is good to clear up some of the rumors,
Yeah.
Because I think there were a lot of people in me and Mike's shoes, but he basically just said that uh, all the money that they're making is going back into the business. So that also would be like the people that are working are Hunter, Trevor, Connor, I know Silas, and even Brody is doing a lot with Foundation while he's not on tour. So those guys have to get paid, and after they're paid, the rest goes back into the business. And Paul said, with a company like that, when you're basically turning all the money back and putting it back in the company, the owners need to be hands on. Like, I'm not just sitting there collecting a check, not working. Like, the people that are working need the money, and then the company itself needs the money. So if there's, it doesn't make sense for me to be an owner right now, because I can't just sit there and reap the benefits, because it doesn't appear that there is a whole lot, and it needs to be more hands on. So he mentioned that possibly in a few, later on down the road, he might come back. He even mentioned, hey, it might be really big at that point. I might have to buy back into it. It'll be so big, like, and it's a booming company, and I think that was a very respectful and way more understanding way than kind of what we heard. The announcement made it seem like. So,
well, the thing is it would probably be an awkward situation where Paul made it clear in that interview with Smashbox that he expects to get a sizable amount of money for stuff that he does because he knows what his value is, and so I'm just gonna guess that this was maybe being sort of a awkward situation of Paul not really doing much because he's busy, but still maybe because of the agreements or this or that, still getting some money. But for it to make sense for Paul to be there would have been an amount of money that would have prevented like the growth that Foundation wants to have, what they could give him to keep the business growing, Paul didn't really feel like that was like what he needs. So I'm sure it was just something like that. And imagine, I don't know if this happened, but imagine being new in terms of relevancy to the disc golf world with like a Hunter telling a Paul Macbeth, hey, we're gonna have to split ways.
We can't pay that, man. We can't pay your premium.
We're gonna have to let you go, buddy. And I don't know who said what or where it came from, but it totally makes sense. And I'm glad that he came out and just explained it because it does make sense. And maybe in a few years it'll make more sense for both parties. But for now, Foundation's pushing the envelope and growing really big. And
they're doing phenomenal,
helping the sport. And some of their videos, like the one that just came out either yesterday or today, they did a new series of like bad weather, and they just were out in t-shirts in the snow. And I was like, couldn't you have done something like better with your time than this? This doesn't make
maybe sense. But you still watched it, didn't you?
No, I watched 5 minutes and I turned it off. So they probably still got the ad revenue from me. So I don't know what I'm talking about.
I think they make good stuff.
They do.
And as much as they post, sometimes there's going to be some flops with the ideas. But I think they put in a lot of effort and they make some really quality stuff. And I think they're awesome for disc golf.
I do too. I think they're actually doing contributing a lot to the growth, honestly, because when new people come into a sport or into a community or a hobby, they look for content, and they're going to be one of the first people they see now because they're just throwing out tons of good content, solid content.
So selfless plug. Not even a selfless plug. A shout out to them. Go check them out if you. There's no way you don't watch them, but just go check them out. So we have a couple more topics left. Not a whole lot. We'll hop to the 8-tier that happened this past weekend. The Shelley Sharp Memorial. For those of you who don't know, that is at Camino del Vista Park in Arizona.
Phoenix, I think.
Phoenix, yeah. Which is one of the courses they use for the Memorial, which was in the past Pro Tour event. It's no longer Pro Tour event, but it's going to be a stacked A tier this year.
Well, yeah, it looks like a lot of people are going to
Yeah,
go
I
this
mean,
year.
I know Paul's going, so I'm sure it's going to be a stacked A tier. It's going to be fun, but this is kind of like a warm up for that event. It's kind of the first A tier of the year, and you kind of see a lot of the Arizona guys. I know. Do you have the list pulled up?
I
Looks
do,
like
yeah.
you do. Yeah,
So,
go
like,
ahead.
the people who are there every year is Hamas, Gibson, Barella. That's the three people I think of when I think of this tournament because
Yep,
they're like
I agree.
those Arizona guys. Other notable names: Kale LaVisca was there. Austin Turner back from injury was there. Aaron Gossage, and then after that, Jordan Castro, and then some other like sort of kind of touring pros or local-ish pros. But coming in first was AB Anthony Barella taking it down. And then Kale LaVisca got second. Drew Gibson third. Nick Newton, which is kind of like a local-ish guy, got fourth. Jordan Castro, birthday weekend, fifth. And then just kind of going down the line, surprising, probably if you asked him, pretty disappointing. Adam Hamas taking ninth with a pretty lackluster final round. He shot a 986 the final round.
Oof.
Yeah.
That dude is the two-time defending champ of that event.
Yeah.
986.
Yeah.
Oof.
And
Yeah,
just
I didn't know it was
just
that
for
bad.
context, he was one off the lead going into the final round. And then
Ooh,
did
that means it's on coverage.
It is. I watched it. I watched all the coverage.
Boy.
That might be the first A tier coverage I've ever watched. No, I watched the Majestic. Well,
that's a little different.
Yeah.
The world is hungry for disc golf.
Yeah.
More than ever.
Yeah.
And for someone like Terry Miller, when the tour starts, it's going to be a little bit different. But if I was someone like Terry Miller or even someone of his caliber, like I'd be getting to any big A tier with names at it right now because people are going to watch.
Yep.
And on the FPO side, I know who won, but are there any notable
I'll throw
names?
some names just see who was touring. So, Otis Goggins was there. Jennifer Allen, Callie McMorrin, Jill Norwick. There's only 9 women in the Open, which is pretty crazy. I mean, I would expect more, but and actually, sorry, Emma Arp. We know Emma Arp.
You already do.
Yeah, she was there.
Oh wow.
But anyway, Jennifer Allen took it down, and by 9 strokes. So
yeah, she's a bomber. If you haven't seen Jennifer Allen play, she throws a disc far.
And that course definitely attributes to that. Otis Goggins averaged like a little over 900, so shot well below her rating. And then Jennifer shot above her rating slightly. So yeah, took it down. $550 for her. And for the winner, AB took $1,400. So not big prize pools, nothing crazy, but good to see disc golf again. And I know you said you obviously didn't watch any of the coverage, but I did.
I watched a little bit. I didn't get to watch it all.
They are rusty.
Whoa, that's hating.
There's some questionable shots by some very good disc golfers.
That course is doo-doo. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah, it's just a skip fest. Whoever can throw the straightest shots that don't skip usually does the best.
Far and sometimes over the trees. I mean, like someone like AB has such an advantage where you can just chuck it over the trees and throw a spike hyzer on every hole. Like it's borderline cheating.
It's funny seeing like AB and Drew Gibson sandwiched by a Kale who throws
Kale's
significantly
so
shorter.
Yeah,
but when you make, I mean, the first round, Kale made like the first 4
circle 2.
So
man, he probably just feels so free not playing in snow boots and a foot of snow. Man, he's just like grooving out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited to see more disc golf. Obviously. Yeah.
And along with the kind of snow boot mindset, there's going to be a lot of the European players coming over this year for tour, which I think is absolutely awesome. It's for people who just got into the sport and don't really know what the European scene is like. They're good. Yeah. They're so good, and you're going to see some of those names, especially on the FPO side. in the MPO, there's a few guys that are, I'd say even top 10 worthy when they're here and they're competing at their best.
A little more
But
unknown, I would not
a li-
unknown,
a
but
little,
uncertain.
yes, uncertain. But FPO, I mean, there's top 2 of the 5 players are European, and I mean like locked in. Top 3 of the top 5 are
Yeah.
European, and like locked in. There's no question about that. So I know Kristen Tatar released her touring schedule, and she'll be here for the first few events at least. And yeah, I know sometimes they got to go back and come and go. So they'll probably be missing some events, but it seems like there's going to be quite a lot of them coming over and playing at least good portions of the tour, which is just awesome to see.
I will say, if you are someone who doesn't watch a lot of coverage, you're just starting to get into the game, or you are thinking you might want to get into the game, and you only watch a couple things of coverage this year, if they have it, the one you need to watch is the European Open.
European Open, the hands down coolest event.
And honestly, if you just want to watch some coverage right now, go on YouTube and search European Open Disc Golf and click on it. It looks like a golf tournament. Thousands of people. Someone from Europe said that their scene has doubled since then. So if there might be some restrictions for fans,
right,
which would
COVID.
be a shame from like the aesthetic perspective, because a wall of people. It's crazy.
I mean, they pull first day, which
first day like fifth card, like everybody.
Yeah. Typically first day tournaments, there's not as many viewers just because. But even first day, fifth card, there's like 5,000 people out there, which is absurd. Yeah, it's just go watch it. It's so fun, and the competition's always at the highest. I mean, I'd even compare it to like a USDGC Worlds type vibe, just with how
definitely.
And so
better vibe than Worlds. Better vibe than Worlds.
Yeah, I agree.
But maybe not USDGC. It's close.
Very close.
But yeah, did you have anything else, Dan?
Yeah, one more thing. He mentioned the Gibson line of discs a few times this podcast, and the first mold by Finish Line Discs, which is Drew Gibson's company, was PDGA approved, which is called the Zub. That was backwards buzz. That was dumb. No, it is the Era, which is a fairway driver. I'm not really sure much more than that. I know I've seen a few clips of Drew throwing it, and it doesn't seem super overstable. Seems well. It'll be super stable for most of the population probably, but it seems like it's a fairly straight, maybe even a little flip when it's thrown hard fairway driver. Kind of, I would assume something along the lines of a T-Bird, maybe not quite as stable. So something along those lines called the Era. I think it's gonna be cool, and I'm sure Drew knows what he wants. So
when did that get approved?
Pretty recently.
I wonder if he was throwing it this weekend.
I don't think he was.
He wasn't?
I don't think he was. I don't think he was. I think it got approved after.
That'd make me want to go look at it. Watch the coverage again. But no, that's cool. I hope things take off. I'm excited. I hope he has a lot of media content and pushes, because he's gonna need to do that. I hope he plays well, because that'll help, and it'd be cool to see a player-branded, player-driven company do well, because that's new. There's not really anything like that. So, good luck to him. And I'll wait for the Zub to come out.
Bro, I might have to steal that.
Yeah, that's intellectual copyright right there.
That's right off the top of the brain.
Drew, if you need a social media manager, I think you found him.
Get me. I can name all your discs. We'll be making the Sues and the Zub.
Thanks for
all right,
guys.
And with that, I won't hurt you guys anymore. I appreciate you guys watching. Drop a like and follow on all our socials, and have yourself a fantastic day.
See you next time, guys.